Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Mark at the Mic podcast sponsored by the Burlingame Historical Society. Today is April 24th, Sunday morning. I'm not sure when this is going to hit YouTube. It's all up to my producer, my daughter-in-law Shelby, and she's been pretty busy lately. So hopefully sometime this week you'll catch this on YouTube. This is going to be a little different show than normal. No interview. I thought I would just open up the mailbag. I've been getting emails and texts, and people have been asking me different questions about how's retirement and podcasting, et cetera, et cetera. So why don't we go to the mailbag and let's go with the first question. And the one I hear all the time, how's retirement? Well, let me tell you something. Retirement is fantastic. I love every minute of it, every day of it. I haven't had a boring day. If I have a boring day, I take a nap. Simple as that. So Kathy and I have done some traveling. That we've made several trips to Long Beach and San Diego as well, having fun with our grandchildren and our children. I'm finally getting Kathy out of the grocery widow situation. You know that I worked for 50 years in the business, in the supermarket business, and finally now that I'm retired, we're getting acquainted again, and next year in February 2023, we'll be celebrating 50 years of being married, so great stuff. Hey Mark, how'd you get into podcasting? Well, you know, I was planning to retire from Molly Stone's. I began to wonder what I would do in retirement. Most often I'd hear, hey, are you going to golf? Well, I thought, not really. My hands and wrists are filled with arthritis, and gripping a club was difficult. I'm planning to read, which I've been doing a lot of, going to the gym. I'm training for a triathlon and doing well, doing great with the swim part of it and the bike and the run, of course. However, I have yet to get in the ocean. I can't fit in my brand new wetsuit. How do you like that? So the pandemic was not real good to me. And also I'm kind of a closet junk food junkie, guys. Okay, so, but I'm soon going to be pushing away the chips and the salsa and the Don Julio and the Coronas and switching over to hummus and carrots. Boy, that sounds terrific, doesn't it? Anyway, Kathy and I have been doing a lot of traveling, like I said earlier, and a friend of mine mentioned to me, hey, why don't I create a podcast? I thought, boy, that sounds interesting. After all, I was a radio TV broadcast major in college. But as life goes, I never got an opportunity to really do that, as I ended up in the supermarket industry for 50 years. And believe me, I had nothing but great days. I enjoyed every minute of it. So anyway, I asked this guy, well, how do you get into podcasting? What's happening? Well, he said to me, there's a class at Stanford you could take. So I signed up for this podcast class at Stanford, and later on I even took an interviewing class at Stanford. So upon completion of the classes, it was now time to take my novice podcast skills to the road. I used my old college handle of Mark at the Mic, and with the help of my daughter-in-law Shelby, we created some pages on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I needed a sponsor or a company that would link my podcast to their site. I tried a few but had no luck until I approached the Burlingame Historical Society with an idea to interview local, long-standing residents, teachers, merchants, authors on their memories of Burlingame, and I want to thank Leslie McQuaid, my former vitamin manager at Molly Stone's, for setting that up for me. I struck gold as the Burlingame Historical Society liked the idea and offered me an opportunity. The name of the podcast is called Burlingame. It's a small town. And I named the podcast after my best friend, Duffy Ofield, who passed away suddenly in May of 2021. We used to joke about things I used to say out loud, and he would say to me, watch it, pal, this is a small town. So what are you doing back at Molly Stone's? We see you there occasionally. If retirement's so much fun, are you actually getting bored a little bit and want to go back to work? No, not really. I'm enjoying retirement, like I said, 100%. I'm not bored. I got a phone call one day asking to maybe help out during the holiday season. That actually was back in October. I think I worked all the way through February helping out, and finally we got some guys hired. And so now if you do see me at Molly's, I'm just taking over for the managers when they go on vacation, working just 2 or 3 days here and there. Are you making any money from podcasting? No, the intention was never really to make any money, especially doing this for the Historical Society. This is sort of giving back to the community that I've lived in for 60 some odd years. I'm just having fun with it. But down the road, if I create another show, sure, I wouldn't mind making a few bucks to keep me in cigars and scotch. Why not? How do you find or select your guests for your podcasts? It's pretty simple, really. It's people I've met over the years and suggestions from my family and friends, people that I've known at Molly Stone's. I'm involved in Rotary. I'm a trustee on the library board. It's just a lot of connections, networking, I guess. It's pretty simple. I have quite a few lined up coming up and excited about it. How long are your podcasts? Well, they generally range anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. I do have our mayor, Ricardo Ortiz, coming up in early May, and we may extend his time because he's got a lot to say about the city, and I've got several questions that I want to ask him that other people have asked me to ask him as well. What kind of podcasting equipment do you use? GarageBand is my recording, editing, and mixing platform. It's a free app on all Macs. I have a couple of toner microphones that I use on my interviews, and I'm actually using it right now. I use Audio-Technica plugged-in headphones. I would prefer to use wireless headphones, but this Bluetooth latency is a problem. It causes a delay response in the headset. By the way, I'm recording this in my little office area at the house, and I have a squeaky chair, which you'll probably hear in the background. Typically, I do all my recordings at the Burlingame Library conference room, which is kind of now my adopted recording studio. How many episodes or podcasts have you done? Well, I've completed 10 episodes, and like I said earlier, I have an arrangement with Mayor Ricardo Ortiz in early May. I'm waiting to hear back from our local author, longtime resident, Barbara Freethy. She does romance and mystery novels. I also have a tentative arrangement with Tom Colopy. He's a wonderful photographer, well-known photographer. And I'm going to be emailing John Mays, the editor of the San Mateo Daily Journal, and hoping to do him sometime in late May, maybe early June. Also, we have an arrangement with Tom Simpson of the Simpson family, the Simpson clothing family that was on Burlingame Avenue for so many years. And of course, if any of you have a suggestion, just send me an email or a text. What are some of the challenges of podcasting? Well, a squeaky chair is one of them, but, I should have tested it out ahead of time, but it is what it is. Preparation and doing your homework. If you fail to prepare, your show will fail. I practice my interviews with my wife, Kathy, who is also my editor. She plays the part of the guest. Together we check on the timing of the interview and that the content of the interview flows well. I try to stay calm because once you hit that record button, everything changes. Also, editing the podcast is a challenge. So much can go wrong with editing. And except for today, to eliminate squeaky chairs and background noise, I've been using Conference Room A at the Burlingame Public Library as my adopted recording studio. It's quiet, virtually soundproof. Besides YouTube, are you on Apple, Spotify, or any of the other podcast platforms? No, not yet, but we're working on it. You sort of have to jump through some hoops. I had some artwork developed for me, and I have to get an RSS feed, whatever that is, but I'm going to leave that up to my producer, Shelby, to figure that out. But I would say within a month we'll be on Apple and Spotify, or at least one or the other. How can we listen to your podcasts? Well, currently I have a YouTube page called Mark at the Mic. That's MarkAtthemic, Mark at the Mic. So I've got 10 episodes on YouTube. You can also go to the Burlingame Historical Society website or the Burlingame Rotary website and click the link to my podcast, Burlingame. It's a small town. The link can also be found on my Facebook page, and it's on the signature of all my emails. I'm thinking of starting a podcast. Any tips you'd like to share with me? Let's see. Any tips I'd like to share with you? Well, for starters, take a podcast class if you can. Take it at Stanford. I'm sure that maybe College of San Mateo has one. Stanford's a little pricey. Watch YouTube videos on podcasting and editing. I can't tell you how many hours I've put in watching YouTube and how to create podcasts. There's so much information on YouTube. Listen to podcasts. Try to establish an audience that you might appeal to, a subject you feel that you're really passionate about. And once you feel that you're ready to podcast or you have a show to do, practice and prepare. Prepare and practice. Use your friends. Believe me, I've had more failures than successes, but with each one, I feel I'm getting a little bit better. And keep trying. Get knocked down, get back up. Well, that's about it, guys, for the Mark at the Mic mailbag. Thanks for sending in all the emails and texts. I tried to answer as many questions as I could in a short period of time. And I tell you what we're doing here. I've got, I think at last count, I took a look, I have 89 subscribers. I need 11 more to get to that century mark, the 100 subscribers. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. If you subscribe and you are the 100th subscriber, I'll get you a little bit of that Mark at the Mic bling that's going to soon be coming out. I'd like to thank the Burlingame Historical Society for sponsoring my little mailbag session today. Also to Shelby, my producer, and Kathy, my editor, and always the great Ray Tyler, my videographer, who's not here today, but we'll be working together early May. And again, everybody, see you around Burlingame. It's a small town.